Most people, when they discover they have been betrayed, feel it like a blow, something sudden, something that knocks the air out of you and leaves you scrambling to make sense of what just happened. But there is another kind of discovery, the quiet kind, the kind where you are standing in a room you have stood in 1,000 times, looking at something ordinary, a drawer, a folder, a piece of paper, and in a single moment, everything you thought you knew rearranges itself into something you can no longer ignore. That kind of discovery does not knock the air out of you. It goes very, very still inside you. And in that stillness, if you are the right kind of person, something else takes over. Not panic, not grief, clarity. This is the Karma Diaries. And today, we are talking about the insurance policy. Josephine and Dale Whitmore had been married for 11 years. On the surface, it was the kind of marriage that looked solid from the outside. A house in a quiet neighborhood, 2 cars in the driveway, a shared calendar full of ordinary commitments. They had built a life together the way most people do, gradually and without ceremony, accumulating routines and furniture and mutual friends, until the life itself became something neither of them questioned too closely. Josephine was a landscape architect. She was methodical and creative in equal measure, the kind of person who could look at a patch of bare ground and see exactly what it wanted to become. She ran her own small firm, managed her own finances, and had always been, in the quiet way of self-sufficient people, fundamentally capable. Dale worked in insurance. He was good at it, personable, detail-oriented, comfortable with the language of risk and coverage and fine print, in the way that people who work with something every day become comfortable with it. He handled most of the household financial administration, which had always seemed like a reasonable division of labor. He liked managing things. Josephine liked designing them. It worked, until it didn't. The marriage had been fraying at the edges for a couple of years, not dramatically, not with shouting or obvious crisis, but in the way that things fray when 2 people have slowly become strangers who share a roof and a refrigerator and very little else. There were long silences that used to be comfortable and had stopped being so. There were conversations that never quite arrived at anything. There was the particular loneliness of lying next to someone every night and feeling completely alone. Josephine had been thinking about what came next. She had not said anything yet. She was still gathering herself, still figuring out what she wanted the next chapter to look like. She was not expecting Dale to act first, and he did not act the way she expected. It was a Tuesday in November when Josephine found it. She was looking for the warranty information on the dishwasher, which had started making a sound it was not supposed to make. Dale handled the filing, so she went to the home office, opened the second drawer of the filing cabinet, the one labeled Household, and began flipping through folders. She found the warranty. She also found something else. It was a folder she did not recognize, thinner than the others, tucked toward the back of the drawer, behind a folder of old tax documents. The tab was labeled simply with a policy number. No other description. She opened it. Inside was a life insurance policy, a substantial one, the kind with a payout that made her read the number twice. Taken out 14 months ago without her knowledge on her life. The sole beneficiary was Dale. Josephine stood in the home office for a long moment. She was very still. Outside, a car went past. The dishwasher made its wrong sound from down the hall. She read the document again. All of it, this time. The date it was taken out. The premium amounts, withdrawn monthly from the joint account in a line item she had never looked at closely, buried between the utility bills where she had no reason to look. The coverage amount. The beneficiary designation. Everything was in order. Everything was legal. Dale worked in insurance. He knew exactly how to make it look routine. She put the folder back exactly as she had found it. She found the dishwasher warranty. She closed the drawer. She went downstairs, made a cup of tea, and sat at the kitchen table for 45 minutes. Then she picked up her phone and called her sister, who was a family law attorney. Her sister's name was Claudette, and she had been practicing family law for 16 years. Josephine told her everything on the phone, quietly, precisely, without drama, the way she described everything. Claudette listened without interrupting. When Josephine finished, there was a brief pause on the line. Then Claudette said, "Don't touch anything. Don't move anything. Don't say a word to him. Come to my office tomorrow morning." Josephine came to her office the next morning. What followed was 3 weeks of very careful, very quiet work. Claudette referred her to a forensic financial consultant, someone who specialized in exactly this kind of situation, in untangling the financial architecture of a marriage when one party had been operating in ways the other did not know about. Together they went through everything, every account, every asset, every investment, policy, and financial instrument connected to either of their names. What they found was not dramatic. Dale had not emptied accounts or hidden vast sums of money in offshore locations. He had done something more mundane and in some ways more telling. He had simply been quietly repositioning things, consolidating assets into accounts that were technically joint, but that he controlled in practice, adjusting beneficiary designations on older policies. Small moves made gradually that individually looked like routine financial housekeeping and collectively told a different story. Josephine listened to all of it with the focused attention of someone who is designing something, taking measurements, noting which elements need to go where. By the time the 3 weeks were finished, she had a very clear picture of her financial situation, her legal position, and exactly what she was entitled to under the laws of her state. She also had a divorce attorney. She also had a very good understanding of which half of the joint account was hers. On a Wednesday morning in December, while Dale was at work, Josephine transferred her half of the joint savings into a new account in her name alone. The amount was calculated precisely, not $1 more than her legal entitlement, which Claudette had confirmed twice. She then called the insurance company that had issued the policy on her life and requested, as the insured party, a full copy of the policy documentation. She was entitled to this. Dale had apparently not considered that she would ever look for it, let alone request her own copy through official channels. She made 2 other calls that morning, to a real estate attorney and to a moving company. The real estate attorney was to begin the process of assessing the jointly owned home. The moving company was to schedule a time, later that week, for Josephine to remove her personal belongings. She was methodical about all of it. She left nothing to chance and nothing to emotion. By the time Dale came home that evening, there was a manila envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside was a single document, a petition for divorce, already filed that afternoon with the county court. Josephine was not there when he arrived. She was at Claudette's apartment, eating takeout, and watching something she had been meaning to watch for months, but had somehow never gotten around to. Dale called her phone twice. She did not answer. He called Claudette's number. Claudette answered, identified herself as Josephine's attorney, and advised him calmly to have his own attorney contact her office. He called a third number after that. She found out later it was a friend of his, someone he apparently needed to talk to. She did not know what he said in that conversation. She did not particularly need to. By the end of that evening, what had been a secret plan of his was a finished plan of hers. The insurance policy, the one taken out without her knowledge on her life 14 months ago, lapsed without ever paying out. Dale got nothing from it, not a single dollar. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. It was not without conflict. Dale contested several things, pushed back on the financial division, made arguments that his attorney ultimately could not sustain in the face of documentation that Josephine's team had assembled with painstaking care. The life insurance policy, while not illegal, was presented as evidence of intent, of a pattern of unilateral financial decision-making that the court took seriously in determining the final settlement. Josephine received the house. She had not been certain she wanted it at the beginning. It was large for one person, and it carried 11 years of a life she was trying to move past. But she had walked through every room in the weeks after Dale left, and she had found herself looking at it the way she looked at bare ground, seeing not what it was, but what it could become. She spent the first year after the divorce renovating it. Slowly, room by room, in the evenings and on weekends, making it into something that felt entirely like her own. She knocked out a wall between the kitchen and the dining room that had always bothered her. She put in a greenhouse window in the studio where she worked. She planted the back garden from scratch, something she had always wanted to do, but had somehow never quite gotten to. By the time she was finished, the house looked almost nothing like the place Dale had lived in. That was, she thought, exactly the point. She did not think about him often. When she did, it was not with the anger she might have expected or the grief. It was with something more like wonder, at the smallness of what he had done, at the extraordinary effort required to be that calculating toward someone who had simply been trying to share a life with you. She thought about the filing cabinet sometimes, about the Tuesday in November and the wrong sound of the dishwasher and the folder at the back of the drawer. She thought about how close she had come to never looking, and then she thought about the garden, which was coming in beautifully, right on schedule, and she went back to work. Dale Whitmore took out an insurance policy on his wife's life, without telling her. We do not know exactly what he intended. We know only what he did, quietly, over time, using knowledge and access that she had trusted him with. He made himself the beneficiary of her death, and then went on making coffee and driving to work, and sharing a bed with her, as if nothing had changed. That is, by any measure, a profound betrayal. And the karma, when it arrived, did not come as punishment from the outside. It came from Josephine herself, from the 45 minutes she sat at the kitchen table and chose clarity over panic, from the phone call to her sister, from 3 weeks of careful, quiet work, from the precise and methodical dismantling of everything Dale thought he had arranged. She did not destroy him. She simply left, completely, legally, with everything she was entitled to and nothing she was not. The policy lapsed, the account was divided, the house was hers, and she planted a garden. There is something deeply, quietly satisfying about a person who responds to betrayal, not with fury, but with architecture, who looks at the wreckage of something broken and immediately starts designing what comes next. Josephine Whitmore was always good at looking at bare ground and seeing what it wanted to become. It turns out she was just as good at doing it with her own life. This has been the Karma Diaries. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. And if you are sitting with something you have not yet let yourself look at clearly, consider this your sign to open the drawer. Until next time, know your worth, know your rights, and always, always read the paperwork.